I have to drop a Zoolander reference on every episode.
Needs to be at least 3 times bigger than this.
What is this? A sin for ants?
Todd, you know I get gassy with a frothy latte. Yeah.
All right, welcome to the 2A Pro. Welcome to the 2A Procast, where we talk about everything Second Amendment related and more. And today is going to be a quick cast, not the usual hour and a half, 2 hour long forms that we usually do, but more 30, 40 minutes. We're going to keep it fast. We're going to keep it concise. And today we're going to be talking about AB 28. I'll briefly go over that. It is the bill that passed in California. It is essentially, they've named the act the Gun Violence Prevention and School Safety Act. If you don't know about this, we're going to talk about it. We're also going to talk about something I left off on the Anxiety and Depression podcast, and more of kind of how I dealt with it and how I was able to push through a lot of that. I'll just touch on it briefly, but mainly this podcast is going to be about, why is the firearm industry so obsessed with everything having to be made in America, right? And what that actually means. Why are we just so geared towards made? Now, don't get me wrong. I am very, very proud of the things that we make in America, and I think Made in America has a lot of pride behind it, and I fully support it. Right. But it is by no means the way our world operates in a global economy, and we're going to touch on that in a little bit. So
I'm happy you said that. Okay. It's very important to know we're very patriotic. We're very much made in America. Yes, that's a good thing. Right. But to be clear, just because it's made in America doesn't mean it's necessarily better. There are plenty of shitty American companies that make shitty products. You guys have bought them. I know you have. I've bought them. Yes. But the thing is, like you said, we are in a global economy, and that's how this world operates. Right. We outsource and we get things from different places for a cheaper price to be able to lower the price to the consumer. Yep. That's how this works. Yeah, it's how it works all over the globe.
If you want to operate in a world where everything that you have is made in America, I have a suggestion for you. Go light your car on fire, burn your house down, take your clothes off, throw your phone away, get rid of your computer.
Get rid of your TV.
Get rid of your TV. I don't know what you'd really be left with, because even your Ford is made in Mexico. So
it's true.
All right.
Yeah.
So one thing that I left out last time, getting back into, we talked about anxiety and depression last time, and I think that it's so important that after the podcast was over, I was like, man, I addressed on some of the things that really helped me. And I saw some comments there in the podcast saying, like, thank you for providing like actionable steps and actionable things that you've done to overcome anxiety, depression, PTSD, and things of that nature. And I'll make this quick. I think one of the really important things, one of the things that I drilled down on that made a huge impact in my life was getting out there, getting to work, and having something to look forward to.
Like a drive.
A drive.
Yeah. Goal.
A goal. Man, I can't tell you what that did to me when I was like, look, I don't want to be, an alcoholic anymore. I don't want to be fat anymore. Right. I mean, these things, I was these things. I don't want to be miserable to be around for my family. I don't want my family and my friends to be scared of me because these episodes that I'm going through with PTSD. Mm-hmm. So the drive and the goal didn't have to be directly related to those things, but it was more of, okay, how can I build a business to make a difference in this world? And the more I leaned into that and the more I focused on that and just trying to make a legitimate difference with the products that we're manufacturing and the business that we're running over here, and not just for our customers, but for our employees and their lives, that gave me a sense of purpose that pulled me out of some of the darkest depths of anxiety and depression that I was in.
Absolutely.
It really did a lot for me. And so for that, I suggest anybody that's out there, like, take that thing that you're really into. And if you're an entrepreneur, you're going to want to monetize it. If you're not an entrepreneur, just get better at it. You know what I mean? Yeah. And just really focus on the things that have a goal, have a mission. I think especially for the veterans out there that come back to you come back to the civilian life, and the one thing you're lacking is a mission. Right. There's always something to do when you're in the military. They're like, all right, here's the next mission. This is going to be a training exercise that we're going to do for the next 30 days, and it's going to be affiliated with X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, somebody's always giving you the next fucking goal.
And then you get out, and you're like, oh, fuck, I can do whatever I want to. And so what do? We fall into the path of least resistance. We fall into eating like shit, drinking a lot. Right. Not all of us. I did. So for me, that's what I fell into, right? I say we, but I mean I, right? That's what I fell into. So until I provided myself with a mission, and it's a never-ending mission. Let me specify. I am not ever done.
Right.
I will never be finished. There is never a golden carrot. Jordan Peterson was talking about something really interesting one time, and he was talking about suicide among athletes. And how suicide among athletes is only more prominent in the solo athletes. These guys that they get the gold medal
and then they're done.
They've attained it. I mean, that is essentially what you're going for. They've got that gold medal. They're not on a team. This is not a, kind of an ever-changing thing. It's like they've reached a finish line and then they stop. Yeah. Right. And he was talking about specifically like guys like Andre Agassi, right? You win all of these awards, you win all of these matches, and then what is left after that?
Right. You've achieved it.
You've achieved it. So he's worked with some of these guys and like helping them through. Oh, I'm sorry. I talked about Jordan Peterson. Let me clarify. That was incorrect. It was Simon Sinek.
Okay.
Simon Sinek was the one who was talking about this. It was not Jordan Peterson. Mixed it up.
It's okay. Both smart people.
I just want to get the facts out there. Yeah. But to get them past that hump, it's like, okay, well, what can you do? Right? You can start a center that basically coaches, kids up to do what you did, right? A sense of purpose behind what you're really, really good at. And that's all I suggest for anybody out there. If you're good at something, you're interested in something, just drive down in that. Just understand that road will never end. You're always going to be on it, and just take those small wins along the way.
Exactly.
Right? So
it's a marathon, not a sprint.
It is. Yeah. It really is. And there's no finish line. And I think that would really help some people out there. And that's why I wanted to mention it today. I would highly recommend for those of you that are looking to do something really good is build a center for children who can't.
Center for ants?
Build a center for children who can't read good and want to learn how to do other good stuff too. Wasn't that Zoolander's? Yeah. Okay. I have to drop a Zoolander reference on every episode.
Needs to be at least 3 times bigger than this.
What is this? A sin for ants?
Todd, I get gassy with a frothy latte. Foamy latte. All right.
Before we dive into what will be, why is Made in America so much better than made everywhere else?
Specifically in the 2A community.
Specifically in the 2A community is what we're talking about here.
Outside of your 2A life, it's okay. But inside of the 2A life,
right,
it's not.
Okay, so we're going to dive into that in a second, but I want to go over AB 28.
Tyranny.
For those of you that are not in California, this still affects you. Believe me, it affects you.
Yes.
You may not live in this state, but this is the death by 1,000 cuts. It is slowly making its way and setting precedent for other states to do the same, because it happened in Washington and then it happened in New York, where they're banning assault rifles. They are banning body armor. Assault, and I say assault because they say assault. I'm not saying this is the verbiage that they're putting.
Assault weapons is what they're saying.
Assault weapons.
Yeah.
This is the
assault
verbiage.
Rifle is the military.
It's the verbiage that they're putting into the bills.
Right.
Is they are calling them assault weapons.
It's legalese jargon.
Right. Yeah. So I should actually probably correct myself and even refrain from saying that and using it, because all that's doing is perpetuating it. So let me, I will back up and saying they are banning AR-15s. They are banning means to protect yourself. And their definition of assault is semi-automatic mag-fed rifle.
Right.
Is really like by definition is their definition of assault.
Right.
Even though, you could have assault knives and assault shoes and assault hands.
It's legalese jargon.
Right.
It's exactly we are the exclusive manufacturer, but exclusive manufacturer means that you can sublease out manufacturing to somebody else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this is the most recent thing that happened over the course of the past week, and a couple of weeks really. On September 7th of 2023, this bill passed in the Assembly, and the bill is touted to make California safe again and protect everybody from firearms. It is specifically called the Gun Violence Prevention and School Safety Act. And what they plan on doing is give you an 11% tax on any firearms, firearm parts, and ammunition. So anybody in California, not only are you subject to an 8% sales tax, but on top of that, you're going to be paying an 11%. And this goes into effect now on July 1st of 2024. You'll be paying 11% on top of that 8% sales tax. And that 11% is supposed to go into a fund for firearm safety. Now, let me tell you what that means. That means it is going to go into a fund to fund more anti-2A legislation, and we are paying for it. This is disgusting. This is an infinity loop.
Right.
It is an infinity loop of firearm owners, American owners of firearms, which are allowed to exercise their Second Amendment, putting money into a fund that is going to be repealing our Second Amendment. Mm-hmm. It enrages me, dude.
Well, that falls under the definition
down inside
of
my soul.
encroach.
And a small tax put on some tea without any representation in the Parliament of Britain caused a massive uprising. Listen, I have not heard a whole lot of people talking about it, and I'm not going to shut up about this because this can still go away if we get on the stage and make this go away. We can make this go away. We just have to continue to donate to the FPC. For those of you who don't know who the CRPA is, this California Rifle and Pistol Association, these guys are amazing. The work that they do is amazing. They unfortunately weren't able to thwart this attack on the Second Amendment, but I know they are working on the appeal.
Correct.
Do everything you can if you're in the state of California. Be concerned if you're not in California, because if you feel safe in Nevada, because, well, it hasn't happened here yet.
Right.
I can assure you it is well on its way. And with every election, I think we see more states converting over to blue. The last election was one of the, it was correct. Georgia?
Probably.
Georgia went blue?
I think so.
If I remember correctly, I'm not 100% positive. Right. I mean, we're even seeing Texas possibly fall into that realm of these states that used to be predominantly Republican go into, more of a liberal mentality. But I will say this, a lot of those states that are predominantly Republican that are shifting blue, like that tide of blue is kind of washing over the state. I think the representatives in those states still understand how important the Second Amendment is. So although you get some liberal politicians in there, they still appreciate the Second Amendment for the most part, for now at least. Well, but it doesn't mean that it won't change down the road. So
the thing is with
be
that,
concerned.
Dude, the thing is with that, like you were saying, these guys going, oh, that whatever happens in California, whatever happens in New York doesn't matter to us. You guys can suck it, right? Yeah. That's a big mentality that we're seeing out there, especially on the internet from these people in the Second Amendment space. They're like, we don't care about California. We don't care about New York. You guys can suck it.
Yeah.
The thing is, communism spreads. Liberalism spreads like cancer. And the thing is, guys, we went to war to stop communism in a different country.
Right.
Why won't you go to war to stop this infringement on our God-given rights?
Communism and socialism spreads, and I don't think you meant liberalism so much as you meant socialism, or maybe you did mean liberal.
I meant liberalism. It spreads like a cancer. It does.
But the reason why it spreads like a cancer is because as humans, as previously discussed earlier in the podcast today,
we want an easy way out.
We want an easy way out.
And it
we
sounds
want to
easy.
be taking it. It's
Yeah.
easy.
Right.
It's easy. Dude,
don't do anything. We'll take care of you.
Entrepreneurship is fucking hard.
Yeah.
Blue collar work is fucking hard.
Exercise.
Getting up to work every day is hard. Exercise is hard. It is not easy to preserve the values that these men put into place 250 years ago. Yeah. The easy way is to be like, hey, everybody's just going to be happy.
Earning your place in the world is difficult.
It's very difficult.
Fucking hard.
As it fucking should be. Everything is difficult. War is difficult. But at some point, we have to stand up and say, hey, this is not fucking okay.
Yeah.
We have constitutional rights that are being literally stripped from us day by day. And if it starts on the coastal states, if it starts in New York and it makes its way over to fucking California and it just weeds its way in.
That's a straight up pincer attack.
It's a pincer.
Look, it's pincer attack, guys. But no, absolutely. And
we have to be cognizant that if California is like,
there's tons of gun owners in California.
Is almost 20% of our entire fucking United States economy. Then what are you going to do? Just annex them?
Yeah.
De-annex them, I mean?
Bye-bye.
And like, see ya, we're 49 states. I mean, these are the conversations that are being had though. Right. Well, they could just, be their own thing and it's not going to affect me. Bullshit, it's not going to affect you.
It's going to happen.
You know why it doesn't affect you? You know why it affects you? Because California has a massive amount of electoral votes when it comes to the elections. They have a huge sway in Congress,
right?
In your federal Congress that are making decisions to impact everybody on a federal level.
Correct.
Anyway.
And that's bad.
And that's real bad.
So anyways, 3% tax caused tea in the harbors.
It was the 3% tax for tea, huh?
Yeah. I believe it was, yeah.
Yeah. What happened shortly thereafter? Battle of Lexington, Battle of Concord.
Yeah, we gave the long dick the law to fucking Britain.
It is a matter of time, my friends.
Anyways.
All right. Hate to sound like What's that guy's name? They don't. I dare not say his name.
Alex Jones.
Turn the freaking frogs game.
Which they are. Look into the studies.
I know. No, I'm not saying that half the shit he's saying isn't true. I just do we say the name on the YT? Are we gonna get banned?
Right. Well, so here's the problem. I would want to take like 30 seconds to talk about this. Alex Jones, completely fucking nuts. But here's the thing. He's right. And that's the problem. He's been gaslit for the past like 15 years. And now it's like all coming out. He's been talking about Epstein and like the fucking that island
since way before.
Since like 2002.
No, and then it all
and people
came
are
out.
like, there's no way. And now everybody's like, where's the fucking list?
Yeah.
And now he's drinking his brain to oblivion. He's like,
I'd be going crazy too, because when you're
absolutely.
right and you know something and you no longer have a platform to stand on,
right.
I can imagine that would make you go fucking insane.
Imagine seeing something. You watch it happen in front of you. You tell somebody, and then they say, no, that's not true.
Yeah.
And you're
can
like,
you imagine how crazy
and everybody
you would
says
feel?
it.
And that's how crazy I'm feeling when I see this shit happen day by day with the Second Amendment. I'm like, we see it. It's in front of us.
Yeah.
It is in direct violation of our Constitution.
Yeah, it's just,
why the fuck are we letting this happen? What do we have to do to make this not happen? The whole point of this podcast, obviously I'm not going to change anything here, but hopefully it'll spread some awareness and hopefully it'll get some people fucking riled up.
Yeah.
So that we can, the more noise you make, dude, the more changes
squeaky
happen.
wheel gets the grease.
That's right. So anyway, having said that, well, it would be like this. This is the way I look at it. Imagine if you had a way to cure cancer and you knew it and everybody was just like, dude, sorry.
No, you're wrong.
You're wrong.
You can't.
That doesn't cure cancer. And like, no, I proved it. Like we could save all the lives right now. And they were like, no.
Like you literally just cured cancer in someone.
Yeah. You want to talk about losing your mind? Like Alex Jones? Yeah. I'd lose my mind too.
Oh, absolutely.
Why aren't they listening to me?
Like I prove it over and over again and nobody believes me.
Anyway,
continuing on.
Getting back into the
full circle
final part of this two-way Procast, which is
why in the Second Amendment community, Made in America is touted so hard, but in the rest of your lives, it's not.
Yeah. And this is for now, this doesn't, I want to be very clear that we're not addressing our, like the fans of Tacticon Armament and the guys that are really aligned with our values, because we've got thousands of guys out there that completely agree with this sentiment.
Right.
This is directed towards all of those out there who either are these people or know these people that mandate that if something is firearm or defense related for ourselves, that it has to be made in the United States.
Right. And I feel like I want to preface, it's not just made in China. It's overseas manufacturing in general, made in different countries.
Right.
And if it's not made here in the US, it's not even worth it.
Right.
And so like a big problem with that, there is an influencer who goes around saying that overseas manufacturing is all slave labor.
Yep.
And which is very interesting to think that just these people in other countries are just slaves.
Yep.
Which is interesting to me.
You know who we're talking about.
Yeah.
Dig a little deeper. You'll find out.
Dig a little deeper. You'll find out. But the thing is, we have some overseas manufacturers.
Yep.
Are these people slaves?
Absolutely not.
Or are they going to work on their own free will?
We go over there. We see our factories. We see the people working in them. When we went over there last time, we went to a few places completely unannounced. We were like, oh, hey, by the way, we're in the country. So it's not like they gathered everything together, hid the children that were working in the factories.
Well, what I find interesting too about this is if you're going to tout that as slave labor, then you shouldn't even have those things on your site, but you do.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
And the same guy
so
that's saying that everything is slave labor has made in China gear on his site.
Correct.
Legit. This is confirmed.
Yeah. And something I want to dive into that, because like there's a lot of companies in the 2A space. I get it. You know, made in America. Awesome. Great. I love it. I'm all about it. Building up America. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
But the thing is, so many companies, whether you realize it or not, are outsourcing a lot of their stuff. And they're public records. You can find them. They're import records.
Yeah.
For example, Sig Sauer, they have imports. Holosun is a Chinese company, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
It is owned by a Chinese
company. From the research,
company.
correct me if we're wrong down in the comments, but I found the parent company for Holosun is an actual Chinese company. So why are we not supporting American companies who source from China? Because they have an American footprint here. They have American employees.
Right.
They are generating American tax dollars.
Right.
But then you've got Holosun. Sure, they've got like satellite offices here.
Right.
Right. So far as my
As far as we know.
As far as we know.
And
now,
correct us if we're wrong, and we will release a statement saying that we were absolutely wrong.
But you need to prove it. Yeah. Because the research that I did is they are owned by a Chinese holding company, or a Chinese company that actually does have registered businesses within the United States, but it's ultimately a Chinese company.
Right.
So why is that okay? And why is that okay, but it's not okay for an American company to source from Vietnam, to source from Mexico, to source from China?
But it is okay. And you want to know why? Because companies like EOTech, right? The parent company, L3 Harris,
right,
is the parent company of EOTech.
Yeah, they have tons of import records from China.
EOTech makes all of their optics in-house, right? It's an amazing facility. I watched the walkthrough with Donut Operator. But L3 Harris, their parent company, buys chipsets from overseas.
Yes.
So it's like we're all... Oh, hey. So real quick, I need to discuss this. Got to stop you. You know, spreading misinformation, not the good thing to do. So let's set the record straight here. I'm technically right, but I'm also technically wrong. And here's how. EOTech was owned by L3 Harris. And then L3 Harris was like, I don't want to play with you anymore.
I don't want to play with you anymore.
Circle back around. L3 does not own EOTech anymore. EOTech is now sold and owned by American Holoptics. Holoptics. I know it's a shitty name, but regardless, L3's import records are still the same. EOTech's import records, I've shown them on screen, and it seems like they don't have any connection with L3 that I am aware of. Who knows? But just wanted to set the record straight and didn't want to spread misinformation. Do with that what you will. Seems like now everything EOTech makes is in-house, besides for whatever they're getting from Anime Land. All doing it, and especially DoD contracts, right? You look, the Tango 6T is Sig Sauer's optic. It is assembled in the US, and it comes from overseas.
Yeah.
The parts come from overseas. So what is this elitism you guys got here? And
when you assemble, we're not going to name the name of this company because it will all be coming out in the wash later on. Yeah. We promise you. Stay tuned. But some of these companies, one in particular, is what they'll do is they'll give you the definition
of Made in America.
Of Made in America, which is if it is assembled 51% or more in the United States. And they've got this big blurb on their site about what the definition of it is. But then some of their listings say that it is. Some say that they're not.
Well, what's curious about this, and we're not, like you said, we're not going to name the name yet. But it will come out. But here's the deal. They tout in specific letterings on a separate page of their website that you would have to dig to find to, like you have to Google it and then it brings up that page. Right. They'll say it's like the Made in America difference. And it says in specific legal jargon, you can rest assured that products labeled, then in quotes, Made in America, are 50% or more.
50% or more,
right. And so that's great. That makes you feel good. That makes you feel like, yeah, this company is all about Made in America. Cool, awesome. Except when you go searching on their site and you type in Control Find Made in America, it doesn't pop up. And when you Control F USA, it doesn't pop up. When you go to other resellers of their stuff, USA doesn't pop up. Right. And specifically on one of these influencers that we're talking about, it doesn't pop up on
all his other listings.
But on all the other listings, different products, it does pop up Made in the USA. So that's very interesting.
Yeah.
It's almost like they know.
I am thoroughly convinced. Now, here's the deal. I have no qualms with people making shit in other places.
Because we understand how a global economy works.
I understand how a global economy works. But do not try to pull the wool over our eyes and make us think that like all your shit is made in the United States when it's fucking not. And then get on our social media and comment and attack us because we make some things overseas as well. Like that shit is
everybody
nonsense.
Does.
Everybody does it.
The thing. We're in a global economy.
Everybody
you silly gooses.
Look, there is epoxy on this table. Let's say the epoxy was made in the United States. I guarantee the plastic container that epoxy went in was not made in the United States.
Guaranteed.
Do you see where I'm going with this?
Right.
It is just the way the fucking world works. And why does it work like this? Because, well, there are phases of economic development. Now, your eyes are going to glaze over. I'm going to give you
it's important information to know.
It's important information to know. When a developing economy, and I'm not talking out my ass, part of my degree was in this.
Yeah.
So I know
you have a degree in economics, correct?
Right. So I know a little bit about economic development. We studied this. We studied the history of economics and how it works.
And it's a Google search.
It's a Google search away for you, which, you do not need formal education anymore.
Type in ChatGPT.
I highly
advise
against
me.
it. I highly advise against it. But economic development usually starts with agriculture. So farming, right? You get a developing economy. Really what you try to do is get that farming going.
Survive.
People have a lot of kids.
Right.
Why? Because they use them to tend to the farm.
Yeah.
And then
slave labor.
Yes, slave labor, essentially, right? So agriculture. And then it typically gets into things like textiles, and it will get into things like cross-border trading, right? And then you'll go into more of a industrial kind of low-end manufacturing type
the
thing.
Industrial Revolution.
Right. So we've heard of all these. We've heard of all these events happening. So it's agriculture, into textiles, into manufacturing, but low-level manufacturing, and then you get into more mid-level to high-level technological manufacturing, and then you get more into the R&D and tech world, which is really where the United States is now, and it's actually where China is almost now, if not already there, and they have kind of a hybrid. We ditched a lot of manufacturing so that we could participate in the global economy, bring prices down, give people higher paying jobs with better education here in the United States. That's the way it works, because there is only so much money to go around when you've got 40,000 people inside of a factory in the United States. Instead, we've opted to, maybe we can educate these guys to get medical degrees, to get doctorates in mathematics, to where we can solve some bigger world problems, create higher paid jobs, and be able to fund this next generation with intellect rather than sweat. Right? I'm not telling you that this is the right way or the wrong way. This is just the way that the United States went.
Correct.
There's nothing wrong with blue collar jobs. There's nothing wrong with pushing a broom. There's nothing wrong with being a plumber. I want to clarify that right now. We need those guys.
We need skilled labor, for sure.
As time goes on, that people become less and less willing to do those fucking jobs, those jobs are getting paid way and way more. We did a study one time while I was at school of what a plumber made, what a college professor with a master's degree made, and what a fucking doctor made. Right?
And the plumber almost makes more than both of them, right?
Yes. The plumber almost, at the end of the career, because the plumber was able to, do their apprenticeship and make money the entire time, and then go in as a journeyman, and then possibly start his own plumbing company. Didn't have their debt. The plumber, when it all comes out in the wash, and they didn't have any interest on the debt that they accrued from that medical degree that the doctor had, if they all retire around the same time, which was like 65 years old when it all came out in the wash, the plumber made almost as much money as the doctor throughout their entire life.
Right.
They were second in line. And then that master's degree college professor was way down here, third in
unfortunate.
line. So there's something to be said about that. But the whole point that I'm bringing up is countries have different phases of economic development. We are not in the phase where we primarily
produce raw goods or textiles.
Focus on raw goods, textiles, and have factories that are making this stuff. We have leveraged the global economy with other countries that are in different phases of their economic development, so that we can benefit and reap that value in those products, and we can focus on other things.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with this. It's the reason why we live such a prosperous life today.
Correct.
So people that are walking around shitting on made in anywhere else but America, they refuse to. The reason why you live the life you have that you live today is because of access to our global economy.
It's the reason your 65 or 85 inch TV is $1,500
and not $15,000. Yes.
Yeah, because think about it, right? Our dollar is worth so much more outside of the U.S. in a lot of places. It's dwindling, but it still is. And the thing is, you get 100 employees. Let's say you pay them all minimum wage, so just about $18.
Sure.
Right. For 100 employees, $18 an hour, 8-hour day, that's $14,400 just in if you were to pay just that. But as an employer, you pay more than $18 an hour.
An $18 an hour employee probably cost me
$26. So then that increases that exponentially.
Yep.
Right? So then lay that in there, guys. If the American employee is costing $26 an hour, I don't know the math on that in quick math in my head, but it's gonna be a $20,000 day.
I will correct myself. It's probably closer to 24, 25. I don't want to mince words. I just don't want to be wrong and to spread wrong information.
Correct.
But it really depends on what benefits that you add as an employer. We do, I offer full medical, and then I do dollar for dollar match on medical. I do dollar for dollar match on 401k, right? All these things, they really add up, especially when, it really depends on like if that employee is exercising that full 6% input on the 401k, but it could end up costing up to $26 an hour for an $18
So I just did 24, right? $24 an hour.
All right.
It's about $19,200. So if you had 100 employees,
$19,200 what?
Your cost.
Annually?
No, per day. 8-hour day.
Oh,
paying
gotcha.
100 employees.
Oh, got it. Yep.
So that's about $20K, right? Per day of a single day's worth of production.
Right.
So if the company is not charging their goods accordingly, the company will go under, right?
Sure.
So,
it's simple math.
Yeah, it's simple math.
What's the cost of goods sold? Like, what is the margin that you need to keep your fucking lights on?
Correct.
Right. And here's the thing that I will end on, and you're more than welcome to end on something else. But I think this is incredibly important for those of you that are really wanting to pay attention of where something is made and if people doing the right thing. There's a couple things that I really want you guys to do out there. This is something that I do. Is the company, the parent company that you're purchasing from, an American company, or are they a Chinese company? And how you can find this out. Actually, there is software that you can use that will it's called Helium 10, but you can also go into the listings. If you go on Amazon and you type something in and look at the listings and you get that software, it's like a little Helium 10 plugin. What are those things called? Add-ons to your browser? Those little add-ons?
Yeah,
okay.
Add-ons.
So you get those little add-ons and it does this for me. I can see, it'll put a little Chinese flag, Taiwanese flag, or American flag,
wherever
or Mexican flag. So wherever it's from, you will be able to see not where the good is made, where the country of origin of the company that is selling that good on Amazon is from. And it is mind-blowing, dude. I will type something in and I have to scroll until I see an American flag. Right. That means that 95% of these companies that I'm seeing on Amazon right now, I'm telling you from what I see. Now, I'm not giving you an overarching number. This is a statistic that I have perceived based on the things that I'm searching for. And mainly the stuff that I'm searching for often are Second Amendment related goods. Chinese companies, dude. Not Chinese products, Chinese companies.
Yeah.
Dominating the search results in Amazon. So if you really want to make a difference, buy from an American company. Who gives a shit if it's fucking from China, from Taiwan, from Mexico, from Europe? Buy from an American company, and you could do that by finding the country of origin. And if you don't have the software, you can go into the listing and it will show you the country of origin of the company.
Right.
Because it just recently passed, this happened like within the last year, that people have to prove where their company is from.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. It was it's something that I was... Obviously, I don't like more legislation. I don't like more regulation. That I'm not a fan of that.
I like transparency, though.
Transparency. That was like I think it was like an act, a federal act that got employed. An act, and I think it was an assembly bill or a federal bill. If memory serves me correctly, it was it was a piece of legislation that was put in place that mandated that large marketplaces disclose the country of origin of the company that was selling the goods. Right? Amazon had to abide by that. They didn't have a fucking choice.
Yeah.
And now when you get that software, it's just Chinese flags everywhere, all over their shit.
And you guys can Google the parent companies as well.
It's the last thing that I'm going to say because we've got to make this quick.
Yep.
The most important thing you can do if you are a company who uses overseas manufacturing for leveraging, right, to leverage your profit margins, is and I'm speaking from personal experience, watch for companies that do this because this is where it's at. When it was just me in a garage making holsters, what did I do? Well, I hit a capacity. I couldn't afford to make them in the United States and have somebody else make them for me and still keep the value there for the consumer. So I sent that production overseas. After sending the production overseas, I made a bunch of money that allowed me to buy all the shit to make it here. And then full circle, I brought the equipment, stopped making it over there, started making the holsters here, on to the next product, right? And then stopped making it over there, got the machinery over here. I don't care if it's a plasma, CNC machine, whatever, all the things that we have over here. But that's why we have slowly but surely, we are bringing manufacturing back where I can and where it makes sense. But I'm not going to make the consumer pay for it.
Right.
If the value is better provided by making it over there and just having my QC make sure that it's all right, then I'm going to do that. But the most responsible thing we could do as Americans is leverage that labor to build bigger businesses here and then employ Americans to manufacture the goods here.
And keep that cost down.
And keep the cost down.
Yeah. And I've said it once and I'll say it again. 7075 aluminum milled on a Tormac here is still 7075 aluminum milled on a Tormac overseas.
That right there is a great place to close. And with that, thank you for watching the 2A Procast. Get there in the Discord. Get in the Discord right now.
Get in the Discord.
It is popping.
It's fire.
Locking.
And dropping.
Yeah. And with that,
we bid thee.
Aquif.